If you're going to take 6 weeks away from your business, you don't have a business, you have a job.
Operating without you in the loop is an ideal situation to put yourself in. If they have to carry the weight the entire time, the business can only scale to a certain...
100%. They become the ceiling. That sounds like, I'd like to just go back to the way it used to be. That's not the answer, because if you've got this entrepreneurial blood, what's going to happen is...
If you want more time, money, freedom, and have a business that's not reliant on you, then you're in the right place. Each week, Mark Creedon, along with some of the very best business minds in the world, will take you through simple, practical steps you can take to create the business you always wanted. From his own practical experience, Mark will show you how to work less, make more, and get the business you always wanted, the one that you deserve. Now here's your host, one of Australia's most sought-after business coaches, Mark Creedon.
Welcome to the latest edition of the Mastermind for Business podcast. And as always, joining me on the couch is my business partner, my better half, Caroline. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you, everybody. And thanks, Mark.
Caroline, I'm super excited about today's episode because here's the thing that we've noticed in having coached hundreds of businesses over the years, that the more successful a business becomes, the more the owner feels responsible for everything. So if you're listening to this right now as a business owner and you're going, shit, that's me. Good. Everything is my responsibility. And the reason I grew the business and scaled it was so that I'd have less responsibility, and all that's happened is I've got more
pressure.
Then keep listening, because in the next 15 minutes, we're going to solve that problem for you.
Okay.
All right.
That sounds good. Let's go.
So Caroline, when people come to us and they say, look, that's the issue. I've grown my business, and the reason I grew the business and employed people was so that I would do less, and I'm actually doing more.
Yep.
And so they feel stuck, right? And so often they start with going, oh, well, I need to employ more people, or I need to get better at time management, and they run off to a time management course, or I need to get better at delegation.
Yep.
By the way, all those things are super important, but it actually isn't the real issue. The issue is deeper than that, isn't it?
Yeah, when I look at it, okay, people see roses, but they don't see the dirt underneath. And I look at that and I go, okay, that's like that because there's patterns that have been created with the business owners being stressed. That's because maybe they're not delegating, and maybe it's that the pressure that they're putting on themselves isn't warranted in some ways. Maybe that responsibility shift can eliminate a lot of that.
Yeah, I think you've got a really good saying around that, though. When we talk to people in that position, and we always talk about the business has grown faster than their systems, and you always jump in with that.
Yeah, well, when that happens, the owner becomes the system.
Yeah, see.
And then that is actually not the case. It shouldn't be.
That's right. So we help clients create a system.
Yeah.
Because often when they come to us, they are the goddamn system.
Yep.
Right?
And that's not a system that is just in the filing cabinet or on the shelf all dusty. This is a system that needs to be in place.
Computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So here's what we see. People come to us and they go, business is successful. Mark, things are fine. But they're not, because I'm responsible for everything. I've got more decisions to make. I've got more pressure. I've got more people relying on me. But if you were standing on the outside of that, you wouldn't see that, because you go, well, revenue's grown, the team's gotten bigger, they're servicing more clients. But inside the business, and by the time we meet a lot of these people, they're barely hanging on. And particularly if they're a coupling business. In fact, this is the danger zone. So people often think that a struggling business is the danger zone for couples in business. But I actually think a highly successful business is the danger zone, because often that's when, particularly if there's one person that's more responsible for the day-to-day operational things, they become so caught in the business, they become so intertwined, and they become the system. That's where the real danger zone, because of the increased stress and pressure on them.
Yeah, yep. Like if we were to look at what is actually happening, most people think is happening, is it motivation? Is it a leadership problem? Or is it like we were talking about last time, is it a people problem? And in our last episode, we were talking about perspective as a problem.
The thing is that there's kind of a bit of science behind this, right? And so what happens is that as your business grows, often as the owner or the leader in the business, you still become the person responsible for key decisions, solving problems, escalations, accountability, execution pressure. And often what happens is, they become the bottleneck, in fact, because, all roads lead to them.
Yes.
Even when they have a team around them. right?
The business owner becomes the operating system,
Yeah, 100%.
not the solution.
And I think the reason for that is because they've gone ahead and they've grown the business without spending the time to put the structure in place behind it.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's be honest. When you first start a business, you're the king or queen of hustle, aren't you?
Well, in some ways, you're flying by the seat of your pants. You sort of, things just naturally grow. You read a few books and you've got a passion for something and everything is going great, certainly on the outside. You do have your financial pressures and your sleepless nights that most people have.
But you do everything, I mean, you do the sales, you do the admin, you do the client relationships, you buy the toilet paper, you fix the jam in the photocopier, you replace the light bulb. Do you know what I mean? Like you do everything. And then when businesses move from that kind of startup to growth stage and you get more clients, you start more team members on, more moving parts. But if you haven't changed the system that you're operating the business on, the business operating system hasn't changed to allow for that growth, you're going to have a business that's racing ahead of you.
Yep. And I think when that is the case, you will see that there's just compounding issues that happen. And, you're racing up a hill to get to this great success. The business is on a, great trajectory that you really like. But then you will get to a stage where if things don't change, they will just monitor at one level or they will drop down. But if you sort of look at it and go, okay, I need to do things different. I need to have different system for how things are done.
Yep.
Then that will continue to grow, but you have to get to that stage where you go, stop, this system needs to change.
Yeah, and I think the thing too, Caroline, is that, I mentioned before about the concept of the owner becoming the bottleneck. So if you don't allow your system to grow with the business, and I'm going to correct that, it's not a matter of allowing the system to grow. A system won't grow on its own. You don't allow it, you actually have to make it grow. You have to work on it. You have to put time and effort into it or work with someone who can help you to do that. But if you don't, that's when you become the bottleneck because you end up being the person that holds everything together. And frankly, that's just exhausting.
It's, too much work. It's harder. It's actually harder to be able to be that everything person than it is to revisit the system and upgrade the system to the current position of the business.
Because, Caroline, we've had quite a few people who have come to us and said, I want you to help me to build up the team around me so that I can exit, so that I can sell the business.
Yeah.
And the reason they get to that point is because they're just exhausted. And instead what we've done is, yes, we've helped them to build up the team, but most importantly, we've helped them and the team to develop the system for this sustained growth. And I can think of one client in particular, which is a perfect example of that, where they then just gone, well, shit, I don't want out. I'm loving it now. So they fall out of love with their business because they are everything. And again, if we're talking about from a couple's perspective, it just takes that enormous pressure and stress.
And it goes everywhere with you.
Yeah. And
you just can't let it go.
It's interesting. It's that success stress. Like when you first start or the business is struggling, it's not going well, you kind of you reach a fork in the road moment, either push on or shut it down, or you know that it's only short term. But when your business is growing and doing well and all the pressure is still on you, you almost can't see an end to that because you go, well, hang on, the business is growing, it's doing well. I'm under this enormous amount of pressure. I don't see an end to that because what do? Do I grow the business? If I grow the business, I just grow more problems for myself. And that's where people come to that fork in the road. And you'll often hear people say this, and you might be thinking this as you listen to this right now. You know what? Can we just go back to the way it used to be? Do you remember when it used to just be like you and I have said it?
Yeah, we have actually said that.
Can we just go back to when it was just you and me?
Yeah.
And we didn't have a bunch of people working for us, and we didn't have office space, and we didn't have this and that and that. Can we just go back? You and I used to work from home.
Yeah.
And stop every day for lunch.
Yeah. Actually, that was even 10, 15 years ago. It was fun.
And watch Oprah.
Yeah. No, I think it was Really Steady Call.
Oh, whatever it was. We'd watch something. Do you know what I mean? Like that. And we go back to the simple days.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the reality is you can have those simple days even in a scaled business if you've got the system behind it to support it.
You just smash out those bottlenecks, get rid of it, looking at where they arise and the hidden costs of those bottlenecks. Sometimes we can get decision fatigue.
Yep.
And, when we have that, all the decisions for whatever reason seem to come back to the business owner. And that really falls back on you as the business owner because you've got to stop and make that different. You've got to hand over the baton to somebody else and allow people to make those different decisions for you.
Yeah, 100%. So there is that decision fatigue. And that comes along with that team dependency too, doesn't it? Where like every question comes to me, like everybody depends on me. I almost get exhausted talking about it, let alone actually experiencing it. Yeah.
Yep.
But the other thing too, it slows progress of the business, doesn't it? Because you become the bottleneck for decision making.
Yep. Yep.
And then we've spoken about lifestyle pressure. I mean, again, particularly as couples, it just puts this enormous amount of pressure. But here we go. Because here at the Mastermind for Business podcast, we're not about presenting the problem without presenting a solution. So what do we do about it? Then we understand this is the issue, and we've got all this exhaustion, and we've got all this pressure at home, and we've got all this stuff going on, and we're the bottleneck, and we've got this awful thing where we've got this business scaling, doing really well, and all we're thinking is, I just want to go back to the days when it was small.
And I can't step away.
Yeah. So what do we do?
You need to make a shift that changes. One analogy I would like to put to this conversation is you look at your mobile phone.
Yep.
Technology changes.
Yep.
Technology advances. You get a notification on your phone that says, time to update your phone.
Yeah.
And you don't even think about it. You just update your phone. Automatically it updates. You have to do that in your business. If your business is growing, if the technology you're using in your business is changing, and the reality is every business needs to change their technology regularly, especially with the way AI and functions are running these days. We have to upgrade.
Yeah. So I think there's some really simple things you can do if you're listening to this and going, yep, this is me. And I think it's about actually building an operating structure of the business, which creates a process for how decisions are made. I mean, you always call it a decision framework.
Yep.
Yeah. So build a decision framework. And that's about, hey, if a decision needs to be made, how is it made and who is responsible for making it?
Yeah.
And what does actually come to me? I mean, the way I will often do it too, Caroline, if things come to me, I'll often go, oh, that's way above my pay grade. And it's not what I mean. I actually mean it's below my pay grade. But I'll say to somebody, listen, that's way above my pay grade. You need to go or you can make that decision because I trust your judgment.
Yeah. The accountability structures are there. You just often have to open the gate and let them happen.
Yeah. It's a good point you make because there's people bandy the word accountability around all the time, but there has to actually be a structure to accountability, KPIs, OKRs, whatever you want to call them, but, regular check-ins. So I don't want to be, I always liken it to a football coach, right? Unashamed rugby league fan. And, the coach doesn't go out and pass the ball and kick the ball and make the plays. The coach coaches on them. It's up to the players to go do it. And then at the end of each training session or the end of each game, the coach reviews it. That was a shit game. You didn't do that well, etc. Anybody who watched the Broncos' first game of the season would know what I'm talking about. So that's the coach's job. So that's your job. Your job as the business owner or leader is to be a coach and to create the processes for people. What is the gameplay? Put it into action and then review it. And you're not going to go out there. If we look at the Broncos, Michael Maguire couldn't go out there and play all 13 positions, right? He'd get flogged every week. Probably couldn't get flogged any worse than the Broncos did. No, that's right.
They did do very different.
You can't go out and play all 13 positions.
No.
You can't. You've got to have a structure in place. And then at the end of each game, whatever that game may be in your business, you just review it and go, well, hang on, what worked?
Yeah.
What do I need to change?
That's right. And operating without you in the loop is an ideal situation to put yourself in or get yourself to, because that will mean that you'll be able to go on a holiday and your business will still be surviving.
Yeah. It's because we often say...
Probably not surviving, thriving.
Well, thriving, in fact.
You're already doing really well anyway. So
we often say if you can't take 6 weeks off, if you can't take 6 weeks away from your business, you don't have a business, you have a job.
Yeah.
Right? Great title for a book, by the way, if you're looking for the book. Have a business, not a job.com.au. Have a business, not a job.com.au is the book that we wrote all about that. And it's got super practical ideas in there about how you can actually implement a lot of this stuff. So you can come and join us in our mastermind program. We'd love to hear from you, metropolemastermind.com.au, or you can grab a copy of the book and do it yourself. Have a business, not a job.com.au. But I think the thing that you always talk about, Caroline, is the kind of the business owner stops being the glue, don't they?
Yeah. It is. These things are just a communication. They're a communication thing. Communication with your team, but looking at what you are doing and what you're not doing and allowing those bottlenecks to be shifted.
Because sometimes the goal of business growth isn't just more revenue, is it?
No. Let's build those teams. They've got looking at the right people in the right seats. You don't necessarily have to go and, like you were saying, get the broom out. It could be that you've got people right there. Yeah.
But I mean, you know, again, really, if the goal isn't just revenue, it's really about building the business where the success doesn't rely on the owner. And we've seen them, hey, when they first come and join us in Mastermind, and they look like they've got the weight of the world on their shoulders. And it's kind of lovely to
They're
sit.
just carrying all the weight they're carrying the entire weight of the business, and it doesn't make sense. The business owner, yes, they're the entrepreneur, they're the big picture thinker. They've got this passion to help their clients, passion with what they're doing in the service. But if they have to carry the weight the entire time, the business can only scale to a certain
100%. They become the ceiling. So if you're listening to this and going, yep, that sounds like me, and you know, I'd like to just go back to the way it used to be. That's not the answer, because the thing is that if you've got this entrepreneurial blood, what's going to happen is you're going to go back to the way it used to be, and in, you know, a year's time or 2 years' time or whatever it might be, you're going to be back where you are now.
Yeah.
You won't be able to help yourself. So you actually have to change the system. You need to create some clear decision frameworks, some accountability structures, some process ownership among your team, and then some leadership layers. And I think if you put those 4 things in place nice and easy, that will create the system that will allow the business to grow. And more importantly, Caroline, allow the business to grow without them carrying all the weight.
Yeah. Get those lifestyle pressures
Lifted. Yeah, perfect. Fantastic. As always, great to chat, Caroline. Look forward to the next episode of the Mastermind for Business podcast.